as you all know, we passed the Inflation Reduction Act in a balanced approach, trying to look at how we could have an all-in energy policy, but also have the security that we needed for the energy that we had right here in our backyard. We weren't going in that direction. We think that bill basically was directing this government and this administration to get back on track. So with that, I can't understand that. It's pretty simple that solar and wind on federal lands and waters, they can't proceed unless we're holding meaningful oil and gas sale leases. They all go together. And if they think one without the other is going to happen, it won't. It appears that renewables and oil and gas both face the same challenges of not having consistent sales. Onshore, the administration cannot sign agreements for more than 20 wind and solar projects currently under review because they haven't met the IRA's oil and gas lease sale requirements. We did this on purpose. We're all in this together. We've got to make sure we have reliable, affordable, dependable energy. And so how important is it, I mean, to get off the dime here? Do you all work with both sides of the aisle here trying to figure, hey, we are all in this together? And have you had conversations with people who are protesting, objecting, and stopping and suing, that they're basically killing themselves, shooting themselves in the foot? Mr. Melito?
Yeah, we're constantly in conversation with members of both sides of the aisle, Senate and House.
Do they know, I mean, the advocates from who want no oil and gas leases at all, okay, or coal production whatsoever, do they know that basically it's all tied inextricably to
I don't believe there's that level of understanding of the provisions of the IRA and how they're going to impact the future of wind leasing, both onshore and offshore. We're trying to make sure we educate everybody on that, and we're trying to make sure there's some urgency around moving forward with the oil and gas sales so nothing is impeded as we move forward. These are projects that are the competition for the money behind these projects is global. We don't want to lose that. We don't want to see that go to other parts of the world. We want that here in the U.S., and that's what we're trying to convey.
What do you see, Mr. Overmill?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think, as you well know, we are actively in conversation with all sorts of people about these issues on federal lands.
I'm sure you all have studied the bills. You three probably have studied that bill as well as if anybody, you know, and it was pretty clear what the intent was of the Inflation Reduction Act. And it should, hopefully, do you all believe it was a balanced approach to how we produce energy in our country and having the results basically from an energy policy that would work?
It was a balanced approach, and it was a very good start, yes. I think I divide the folks that I'm talking about in my testimony into two camps: those that want to have a serious discussion about infrastructure for all sources of energy, of which Wyoming provides every source,
right,
and those that don't, they just want to spend the time in the courtroom.
I believe that the Inflation Reduction Act was an amazing step toward creating more clean energy and being able to work on a bipartisan level to get that forward. Now, as Invenergy, we don't have oil and gas lease in mind, but we believe that we need to do everything.
You understand you can't have what you want unless we're doing what we need.
We believe that we need, it is critical to take all necessary steps to ensure continued offshore wind lease sales.
Okay. I know producers in Wyoming are concerned about the administration withhold some of the most productive areas from oil and gas leasing, and I share your concerns. At the same time, I'm concerned about proposals which restrict Interior from withholding any areas from leasing because many of our federal lands are managed for multiple use, which includes hunting, fishing, hiking, off-road vehicles, timber grazing, and more. There's a big difference between land being available for leasing versus land that must be leased upon request. So what are your suggestions for legislation that would ensure producers aren't only offered unwanted acreage, but also protects other uses of federal lands?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for that question, Mr. Chairman. I think, again, to your point, we can strike a balance there. The Bureau of Land Management was created to provide.
The donut hole you showed on your map was very, very, to me, compelling and very interesting. They intentionally, cleverly did this basically to prevent, I'm sure, there's going to be horizontal drilling, correct? I know exactly what it was for.
That's precisely why it becomes unavailable in those yellow blocks, because you need the space to horizontal drill.
They got you stopped completely.
Right. So the Spur Act does take care of some of this in the sense that it does not require 100% of acceding to what industry has asked for in terms of nominated acres, but it does ask for some sort of coherence in what industry thinks is a reasonable place to develop and issuing leases at least in part based on that. And that's a reasonable balance, I think, that we can find, and there's legislation in front of you that does
We
that.
might want you to keep that map or leave it here with us, so we'll bring BLM back in and let them answer that. No further questions. Senator Brasso?
Thank